on, okay? I believe.
Just a moment. Just a moment.
Okay.
We are done. We are done. Can now start.
Okay, so I think I should share my screen here. Okay. Yes, good morning to you, our learners. And how are you? How has been this short holiday? Let me hope it has been a fantastic one, okay? Yes, today we are resuming our studies, and of course we are looking at rebellions in East Africa. We started these rebellions in the first phase, and in the second phase we are still continuing with rebellions in East Africa. My name is Busuulwa Joseph, the usual teacher that has been teaching you. And right now, let me share the screen and we see what we are going to be looking at today. A moment, let me share the screen here. Yes, so I believe you are seeing this information there. I believe you are seeing my screen. Yes, can you see what I have shared?
Yes,
okay, good.
We can see your screen, teacher.
Okay, thank you so much. If you are seeing that, then yes, this is the information about the program, and I myself, Senior 3 History E-class with me, teacher Busuulwa. We will be having this lesson every Monday at this time to 10 a.m. Then about the Zoom ID, we shall work out that. So this is okay. Okay. Now before we start, I would like one of you there to give us a short prayer, and then we begin our lesson. Okay, Trisha, yes, you can unmute. Trisha, unmute yourself.
Okay, let's pray. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for the life that you have provided to us and for the blessings in our lives, Jesus. We want to thank you for the far you have brought us. We want to thank you for our teachers that have given in their time to teach us, and so that we can understand and prosper. We want to thank you for the holiday that you provided to us, and we want to thank you for now that we can resume our lessons, Lord. We thank you and we pray that you guide us as we are going to start off, and bless our teacher. Father, use him as your vessel in all that he's going to teach us. In Jesus' name we do pray.
Amen. Thank you so much for the prayer, Trisha. Thank you so much. Yes, we are now going to start our lesson. Okay, we are going to start our lesson, and I've already told you we are dealing with rebellions in East Africa. The other time I told you that rebellions are categorized into two. We've got primary resistances and then secondary resistances. Here we are looking at the primary rebellion. It's a primary rebellion or resistance, and we are also going to look at a second rebellion today, still a primary resistance. But before we look at the second one, we need to finalize the Nandi rebellion with effects. We did not look at the effects last time, so today we are going to look at the effects of the Nandi rebellion, and then we'll be looking at something else. So rebellions in East Africa, I've been telling you, is our topic we are looking at. Then that is an image trying to show us. I don't know if someone would like to say. Okay, if you want to contribute, you just put up your hand. I don't know whether, okay. Okay. All right. So I've been telling you that this is an image trying to show us Africans fighting against the whites. Africans trying to fight in order to protect their independence. They never wanted their independence to be taken by these people. That is why you are seeing an African there holding a sword, trying to fight with the white man down there. So yes, from there, please, okay. Okay, from there, okay, from there, we are going to look at this other information, effects of the Nandi Rebellion. Remember, we started with the Nandi Rebellion in the first phase, and we are now concluding it. So, before I give you my points, you can, if you've got, if you can try to give us some of the effects of the Nandi Rebellion, you can put up your hand and then contribute. I don't know whether Mboa. Okay. Do you have some of the effects there? If you have some contributions, put up your hands. Yes. No one has any of the effects of the Nandi Rebellion? Okay, okay. Marvin, you can unmute yourself.
Led to death of people.
Thank you so much, Marvin. That is indeed a good point. It led to the death of people. Indeed, where there is war, you expect people to lose their lives. Thank you for that contribution. Then Kirabo Jovia, unmute.
Led to the Nandi to lose their independence.
Thank you so much, Jovia. Indeed, the Nandi lost their independence. That is true. The Nandi lost their independence. Someone using Techno Common, you can unmute.
It led to the spread of famine due to massive destruction caused during the war.
Thank you so much. Famine as a result of destruction of crops during the war. Thank you for that contribution. Jeremy, you can unmute.
The defeat of the Nandi.
It led to the defeat of the Nandi. Thank you, Jeremy, for that contribution. Yes, the Nandi were defeated. I have Kyle. Unmute yourself.
The Nandi were displaced from their land.
Yes, thank you so much. That is true. The Nandi were displaced from their land. You remember the construction of the railway line. When they were constructing the railway line, most of these people were displaced to camps. Yes, thank you. Siraj, you can unmute yourself.
The Nandi Rebellion told neighbors of Nandi that the British were militarily superior.
Sorry?
The Nandi Rebellion the Nandi Rebellion told the neighbors of Nandi that the British were militarily superior.
Oh, okay. You are talking about the military superiority of the British. That yes, the rebellion told the neighbors that the British were militarily stronger than the Nandi. Yes, that is true. Thank you for that. Then I have, okay, Techno Common, whoever is using that one, I think you are giving us another point. You can unmute.
It led to the coming of more Europeans into Kenya and took over Kenya highlands.
Yes, thank you so much. It led to the influx. It led to the coming in of so many Europeans and settled in Kenya. Thank you so much, Jovia Chirabo.
To the destruction of the Nandi culture.
Yes, it led to the destruction of the Nandi culture. That is true. And most of the Nandis were converted to Christianity. Thank you so much for the contributions you've given. Marvin.
The Nandi dominance was broken.
Yes, the Nandi dominance was broken. That is true. Thank you so much for the contributions, members. Thank you so much. So let us try to look at what I've prepared for you here before we look at another rebellion. Yes, we have that point there, loss of lives on both sides. People have talked about that point. We may not actually waste a lot of time there. There was loss of lives. The Africans died, and then the British were also dying, or the British died also. We have that other point there. There was depopulation in the Nandi land. True, because most of the Nandi were displaced, and then others were killed. So there was depopulation. Yes, there is this one here. The Nandi lost their fertile land to the British. It is true. I've already talked about the Nandi being displaced and taken to the camps. You understand? Most of them were taken to the camps and their land taken by the British. Yes, we have this other point here. The Nandi were eventually defeated and greatly humiliated. Someone gave that point. The Nandi were greatly defeated and eventually humiliated. Remember, the Nand were proud people. The Nandi thought they were superior, they were strong in that region, but now they were defeated. And what does it show? Or what does it mean? That their superiority had been broken. Okay. Another point here. It is there. The British were able to construct a railway line through the Nandi territory. The British were able to construct a railway line. You understand? A railway line. Why? Because the Nandi were defeated. Earlier, they had resisted this. Remember Okoyoti Kimunyole, who prophesied the coming of the whites, the coming of an iron snake. And of course, he was talking about the railway line. So when the Nandi saw the British constructing it, they resisted. They were like, yes, our Okoyoti prophesied that at one time we will have this iron snake. You understand? So they resisted. But at the end of that day, the resistance was broken. And when it was broken, the railway line, the iron snake, in quotes, of course, the railway line or the iron snake was, of course, constructed in the Nandi land or through the Nandi land. We have this other point here, that the Nandi power and pride in the region was weakened by the British victory. Yeah, someone that Nandi pride in the region was no more after their defeat. Okay, I think someone in the chat here is saying the effects. A moment. Someone is saying the effects the same as the Nandi. Okay, I have not got your message here because it is not clear that the effects are the same as why the Nandi were finally defeated. Oh, okay. Reasons why the Nandi were finally defeated. That is a different subtopic. Okay. And yes, we might extract some effects from there, but not all that is there can be actually brought in this side as effects. Thank you for that. Then we have this other point here, that the Nandi eventually lost their independence and sovereignty since they accepted European rule after the defeat. Yes, the Nandi lost their independence. After the murder, after the killing of Okoyoti, Koitalero Arab Samoy, the Nandi lost their independence. There is that other point. The rebellion led to the death of the Nandi leader Okoyoti Koitalero Arab Samoy. Remember? You remember? A moment. You can mute if you don't have a question. Okay, I think someone has muted. All right. So we are talking about the death of Okoyot Koitarel Arap Samoy. Remember, we said this man was killed in 1905. He was killed in 1905. And of course, after this man's death, the Nand were also defeated because they lost a morale and they could not fight anymore. Then we have this other effect here. The white settlers greatly increased in number in the area after the Nandi were defeated. Yeah, someone mentioned this point, by the way. Someone mentioned this point, that the settlers were greatly, the white settlers greatly increased in number in the area. Of course, after the defeat of this strong tribe here that was resisting the coming in of the white man had to come in numbers because they had defeated that tribe that was a little bit hostile. You understand? So they came in numbers. Yes, we have that other point here, that the Nandi came to realize the supremacy of the white man's technology. The Nandi came to realize the supremacy of the white man's technology. Someone mentioned that point, okay? Someone mentioned that point, that yes, they realized that the white man was superior and they could not fight against this white man. The white man had the technology that was more and more advanced compared to the technology of Africans. The white man was using a gun against Africans who are using arrows, who are using sticks, who are using spears. And of course, this is one reason as why the Nandi were defeated by the British, okay? Then we have that other effect. We have that other effect, that some of the Nandi were forced to migrate to urban areas, look for employment opportunities. Now, the moment, I think someone has unmuted here. Please mute if you don't. Okay, I think I've seen the person. Okay, so I've been actually telling you that some of the Nandi were forced to migrate to urban areas to look for employment opportunities. Now, their land was taken. For your information, land is one of the factors of production, and which is actually which is very important. Without land, you cannot produce. Now, the Nandi lost their land on which they were producing. The Nandi lost their land, which land they used for grazing their animals and everything, which land they were using to grow food and so many other food crops and cash crops. Now, the moment the land was taken, the Nandi had to go to the urban centers looking for jobs, looking for employment opportunities. So the Nandi were forced to go to urban centers looking for employment opportunities after their land had been taken by the British. Remember, we said some of them were even forced into reserves. So those ones who were forced into reserves were forced to go and or can look for employment in the urban centers. Okay. Yes, we have this other point here. A moment, let me see from the chat here. Somewhere the urban areas in those olden days. Oh, were there? Someone is asking, were there urban centers at that time? Yes, these urban centers were there. Okay, these urban centers were there. The coastal areas had developed already. Remember, there was a trade going on. You understand? The Indian Ocean trade, the slave trade there. So the coastal areas are developed into urban centers, okay? Unlike the interior. Okay, thank you for that. We have this other point here. That many Nandi were converted and turned into Christianity after their defeat. Yes, many Nandi were converted to Christianity. Many of them. Remember, they were defeated and the British that defeated them were Christians. So they converted them to Christianity. Okay? Oh, okay. Okay. Yes, back to our information here. So that was turning many Nandi to Christianity or converting them to Christianity. Then there is this other point here, that there was massive destruction of property, such as villages, food stores, etc. Massive destruction of property. Indeed, there was massive destruction of property. Remember, the British used what we call the earth-scorched policy. And this policy is a policy of total destruction. A policy where everything that you find in a place is supposed to be destroyed. So after destroying everything, of course, the person who has destroyed all of course, whoever destroys the property of the opponent weakens the opponent. You understand? So in this case, we are saying the Nand were weakened by destroying all that they had at the time. So the property, the food, the granaries, food granaries or food stores. So that is destruction of property. Then we have this other point here, that agriculture was greatly disrupted, leading to famine in the region. Yes, this point was given by someone when we were looking at these effects from you people, that agriculture was greatly disrupted, leading to famine. Where there is no agriculture, you expect famine. And of course, people starve and die, meaning that famine also contributed to death of these people. You understand? And therefore, this also contributed to the depopulation of the Nandi land. Okay? So agriculture was disrupted, which resulted into famine and then let alone death of people. There is that other point there, that the rebellion led to widespread misery and suffering of the Nandi in their area. Widespread misery. Okay? Of course, misery. This is as a result of seeing your relatives dying, a result of seeing your land being taken, a result of, seeing others brutally, handled and all of that. So there was widespread misery. Okay. Okay. Widespread misery is the point we are looking at. Yes, we are saying people lost their lives. The relatives now could not live with it. Of course, they could not take it. You've seen your father being killed. You understand? So that is the misery we are talking about. Okay. There is this other point here. The rebellion also led to now to break off poverty due to constant attacks against the Nandi. We are talking about poverty. And this is as a result of constant attacks against the Nandi. Now, once there is a war, people do not work. People do not produce. And once there is no production, expect people to live a poor life. There is no production. There is nothing you are doing. And because you are not producing, you cannot exchange what you've not produced. You understand? And once you can't exchange what you've not produced, then where will you get the money from? So the thing is, there was poverty, and this was as a result of constant attacks. Where there is war, there is no production. And what will be the result of no production? Poverty. You understand? There is this other point here. You can see the point. The long period of resistance led to loss of land by the Nandi, who were pushed into reserves where conditions were very poor. Now, this is a two-in-one point. There is, first of all, loss of land, and again, there is pushing of the Nandi into reserves. You understand? One is a direct result of the other. losing land resulted into pushing the Nandi into reserves. Okay, pushing the Nandi into reserves. So we are saying yes, the Nandi were pushed into reserves. Why? Because their land had been taken by the British after their defeat. You understand it? So remember, we said the Nandi resisted for so long. They resisted for 11 years. 11 years are the ones that are written about. But remember, I told you, their fighting started way back as early as 1890, around there. Though we normally give 1895, you know, but it started as early as 1890. So they resisted for so long, the resistance was broken down. They lost their land. And after losing their land, they were pushed into reserves. Okay? There is this other point here, that the defeat of the Nandi taught the neighbors a lesson that collaborated, e.g. the Luhya, the Maasai, and so many others. The people that collaborated were taught a lesson that, you see, you collaborated, but these people are not on your side. Okay, I have a hand up. Harriet. Harriet, your hand was up. What has happened? Harriet. Okay. I think she has lowered the hand. Okay, Chirabo.
Could you pardon that point?
The last one. Jovi, are you talking about the last point? Well, Jovia, I think you are talking about this last point. This one here, that the defeat of the Nandi taught the neighbors a lesson that collaborated. E.g. the Luhya, the Maasai, it is. Yeah, we are saying, remember, there is a group of Africans that collaborated with the British, thinking that maybe the British are so much friendly to them. But of course, after the defeat of the Nandi who were resisting, the Nandi's independence were taken, and those ones that collaborated were also, those that collaborated also lost their independence. You understand? So maybe those that collaborated thought for them they will remain independent. No, the point is, after the defeat of the Nandi, these other people that collaborated realized that they had made a mistake of collaborating. They would have supported the Nand against him, the white man. Okay. There is that other point there, that forts were built. Okay. How we are saying forts were built. Forts were built throughout the Nandi area to calm the Nandi. Forts were built throughout the Nandi area to calm the Nandi. Now, the forts were to remind the Nandi that your independence has been taken. You understand? Your independence has been taken. The forts were a sign that you are no longer independent. You understand? So the Nandi realized that they no longer had their independence, and then they had to calm down. Okay. There is that other point, that the Nandi Rebellion, the Nandi Rebellion taught the British that Africans could put up a strong resistance. The British were taught a lesson that Africans could put up a very strong resistance. They did not actually expect Africans to put up such a resistance of 11 years. 1895 to 1906, that was indeed a very long period of resisting. The British did not actually think that these people can actually put up such a resistance. They thought these are poor Africans, backward and too traditional. You understand? But the traditional people taught them a lesson. The traditional people showed them that we can resist. And when they were fighting other African communities, they now had a lesson to learn from. Okay. Now, now we are done with the Nandi Rebellion. We started it in the first phase, and we have now we have come to the end of the Nandi resistance. Now, coming to the end of the Nandi resistance brings us to the introduction of a new rebellion of Africans. And again, this is in a primary resistance. Remember, we categorized these resistances into two: primary resistances and secondary resistances. Primary resistances, all rebellions were fighting to protect their independence. They were fighting to protect their independence. Secondary resistances, they were fighting to regain, meaning that their independence had been taken. You understand? So we are still looking at protecting their independence. They have not yet lost in these rebellions. But of course, the Nand we have seen they have lost. But we are going to look at another African group, okay? Another East African group of people that fought against the British, okay? The group that was resisting the British. And this brings us to the Abushi Rebellion, okay? The Abushi Rebellion, and here we are. Here we are with the Abushi Rebellion, okay? And this was fought for only 2 years, as you can see, 1888 to 1890, right? 1888 to 1890. Now, briefly, when we talk about the Abushi Rebellion, why is it called the Abushi Rebellion? We refer to it as the Bushidi Rebellion simply because it was led by this man called Abushi bin Salim, okay? Abushi bin Salim. A moment. Okay. A moment. Okay. We can proceed. Yeah, we can proceed. So we are looking at the Abushi Rebellion, and I've been telling you it was led by a man called Abushi bin Salim. And in the Arabic version, this man is also known as Bashir, okay? If we are to look at the Arabic version, this man is also referred to as Bashir. Bashir ibn Salim. Bashir ibn Salim. So we are saying the rebellion was referred to as the Bushidi Rebellion simply because it was led by this man called Abushi, and then later on, he was also assisted by another African leader who was killed in 1889. So the Abushi Rebellion is what we are looking at, and there is that image you see there. Are you seeing that image there? So that image on our screens is an image of this man, Abushi bin Salim. Okay. There you can even see there is some writings there. Chief Abushi, the leader of the coastal people of Tanganyika in their resistance against the German colonial occupation. Now, briefly, we now know that this was a rebellion of the coastal people in Tanganyika, that is the Arabs and Arab traders and some Africans, the Swahili Africans there, against the Germans. You understand? It was a rebellion led by this man, Chief Abushi, okay, who was assisted by the Arabs and some other African leaders against some African chiefs against the Germans. Okay. A moment. Okay. Okay. So back to our information here. So we've seen that imaging of Bushidi. Then there is also this information. We need this information before we look at the causes. Now, this is an introduction. They are telling us the Abushi uprising was also known as the Arab Coastal or Afro-Arab Rebellion, staged in 1888 to 1890. Now, you can see that statement. Such a statement is a very good statement when someone is introducing. Very good statement when someone is introducing. I've been telling you, and I will continue to tell you, that statements such as, for example, the question is asking about the causes of the Bushidi Rebellion. Statements such as the causes where political, social, and economic are no longer going to win you a mark. Yes, the statement is okay. The causes political, social, and economic, but you are not getting any mark when you give such a statement. What do you do? You look at a historical background of what you are looking at. If you are looking at the Bushidi Rebellion, tell us, what was the Bushidi Rebellion? Who led the people of this area against which other group of people? You understand? So you give us a historical background of the event you are talking about. A moment. So, someone is saying my tone is too low. I don't think it is too low. Are you sure? Are you people hearing me very well? One of you should unmute.
Yes, teacher.
Or you can hear me very well. Okay, thank you. Someone is actually here in the chat. Someone has written your tone is too low. I don't think it is too low. Okay. So I've been telling you that what we do, we look at a historical background of the event we are talking about when we are introducing. So this statement is such a nice statement for one to introduce. Okay. So we are saying it was an uprising known as the Arab Coastal or Afro-Arab Rebellion, meaning that it was a rebellion of Africans and Arabs against the Germans in 1888 up to 1890. There is this other statement. It was organized by Abushi bin Salim, a sugarcane planter, and it involved mainly the Swahili traders, Arabs and Africans, such as the Sikwa, Bondei, and so many others. So we are saying Abushi was later joined by Bwana Heri, another, African chief, another African leader, Bwana Heri, who actually supported the Abushi in the fight against the Germans. Okay. Now from there, we are going to look at the causes now. Okay. We are going to look at the causes of the Abushi Rebellion. But before I give you mine, as usual, I'm waiting for some people's contributions. So if you've got any reason as to why there was, as to why the Abushi Rebellion took place, you can put up your hand and then you share with us. If you've got any of the reasons why. Okay, I have Chiravo. Chiravo, you can unmute yourself. Chiravo, unmute yourself.
They did not want to lose their independence.
Yes, thank you so much, Chiravo. They do not want to lose their independence. They are not yet. Okay. Okay. So we are saying Chirava has actually told us that these people never wanted to lose their independence, and that is true. Okay, I have Mose. Unmute.
Since the British Since the British ended the slave trade, the Abushi Rebellion members were able to create that enmity towards the British Empire.
Okay, okay. Mose is talking about slave trade. There is some connection there. Maybe you are talking about the Germans who were trying to abolish slave trade, yet the Arabs were gaining a lot from it. Yeah, the Arabs is so much, the Arabs was getting a lot of profits from the slave trade, and the Germans wanted to, stop this slave trade, which resulted into the Abushi Rebellion. Thank you, Mose, for that. Benjamin, you can unmute yourself.
The Germans took over the collection of import duties or taxes which annoyed the coastal Arabs, and this sparked off the rebellion.
Thank you so much. The Germans decided to take over the taxation, like taxing the people of the coast, taxing the interior people that got involved in the trade. And this was a source of income to the Arabs who decided to stage a rebellion against the Germans. Thank you for that contribution. The one who is using techno, come on, can unmute.
That GIECO had started issuing company restrictions, e.g. ownership of land and property, which the Arab traders challenged.
Thank you for that. The German East African Company had started issuing, instructions, coming up with restrictions on land and all that, which annoyed the Arabs. Thank you, Siraj. You can unmute yourself.
The Germans do not respect the cultures and the traditions of the coastal people.
Yes, that is a very good point. Okay, a very good point. We are saying the Germans did not respect the culture and the traditions of the coastal people. Can you imagine they could even enter the mosques with their boots? That is one of the reasons why the Arabs and Africans rose up against the Germans. Ronnie, you can unmute.
The high taxes imposed by the Germans.
Ronnie, unmute yourself.
The high
Thank you so much. The high taxes. Yeah, the high taxes imposed by the Germans. Yes, that is another reason for the outbreak of the Bushidi Rebellion. The Germans imposed the high taxes on the traders and the coastal people, the interior people. Okay. I have Joy. You can unmute yourself.
The Germans used harsh methods in administering the coastal people.
The Germans were too harsh, unfriendly, they could brutally collect taxes and all of that. And this resulted into the Abushi Rebellion. I have Robert. You can unmute yourself.
The forced cash crop growing under poor conditions that annoyed those people.
The poor, I've not actually got your point very well. Robert, if you can come again. Okay, I've not got your point, Robert. I thought you were coming back to give us your point. Okay, I have Benjamin again. Okay, Benjamin. Benjamin, you can unmute. Yes.
The GIECO forced the coastal people to grow cash crops in favor of the Germans, and this disappointed them, thereby staging the rebellion.
Yes, this German East African company forced the coastal people to grow cash crops that favored them. Cash crops, cash crops against food crops. That was not right. Okay. Okay. Someone using a common 17, you can unmute yourself.
The local leaders were being humiliated and harassed by the Germans, who flogged them in public and embarrassed them before their subjects.
Thank you for that contribution. Such a great point. the local leaders could be embarrassed before their subjects. That was not right. And by the way, this was something that was being done by the colonialists throughout Africa. I'm telling you, this is something outside what we are looking at. There was a man called Agostinho Neto in Angola there. That man was flogged before his, subjects, and it so much annoyed him. Together with other Africans, they staged the resistance, and they fought against the Portuguese and defeated them. Understand? Anyway, the point we are looking at flogging, we are looking at embarrassing African leaders before their subjects. That one also contributed to the outbreak of the Bushidi Rebellion. Thank you for that contribution, Lonnie. Ronnie?
Yes.
Are you you've already contributed?
No, I want to contribute again.
Okay, you can give us your point.
The success of the influence from other rebellions also led to the Abushi Rebellion.
Okay, thank you. The inspiration from other rebellions. They were inspired by other rebellions on the African continent. Okay, and yes, these rebellions were there. They were in the Zululand, and of course, the Zulus could even defeat these people. Okay, I have Joel. Unmute yourself. Joel.
The first government forms and public ones. First government formed.
Okay. Okay. But Robert, are you giving us another point, or you need to lower your hand?
I'm giving another point.
Okay, you can.
The Germans exploited minerals like gold that greatly annoyed the coastal people.
Thank you for that. Exploiting African resources annoyed the coastal people who decided to fight against these Germans. I have Timai. Unmute. Timai, unmute yourself. Timai, unmute yourself.
The coastal people did not want to lose their connection with the Sultan of Zanzibar.
Oh, the coastal people never wanted to lose their connection with the Sultan of Zanzibar. Sultan of Zanzibar. Now, there is one thing you should know. Moment. Okay. So someone is saying that people, I was actually telling you that there is one thing you should note, that the Sultan of Zanzibar, Sultan Khalifa bin Said, signed a treaty with the Germans, okay, ceding the administration of the Tanganyika mainland to the German East African Company. So this means that the Sultan had something to do with the selling or giving away their land to the what? To the Germans. So now when you talk about losing connection, okay. So I've actually told you one of the causes of this was the giving away of the coastal to the Germans by the Sultan of Zanzibar. Okay, that is one of the causes. Okay, Benjamin.
Yes.
Yes, are you contributing?
Yes. The brutal nature of
give
the
us your
German
contribution.
administrators. The brutal nature of the German administrators towards the coastal people sparked of the rebellion.
Thank you for that. The Germans were brutal, the way they were treating the coastal people. Now, in the interest of time, I think I should also give you what I have here, because I can see we have only 6 minutes to the end of the lesson. So please let me also give you this information I have here for you. And most of the points, yes, you've given them from the chat here. Daniela talked about forced cash crop growing. Yes, that is another reason for the outbreak of the Bushidi Rebellion. Thank you, Daniela. Okay, here we are looking at some of these points. One is the hoisting of the German flag at the coast was rejected by the coastal people, as this amounted to loss of authority. Now, remember I've told you that in 1888, Sultan Khalifa bin Said of Zanzibar signed a treaty with the Germans and gave away Tanganyika to the Germans. Now, the Germans wanted to hoist their flag, and the people were like, you cannot do that. The moment you do that, it means we've lost our independence. So they decided to fight against him, the Germans who are trying to hoist their flag in 1888. We have this other point here that talks about the religious differences between the Germans and the coastal traders, also caused the rebellion. The coastal people were Muslims, while the Germans were Christians. You can see that. You understand? So the religious differences also contributed to the outbreak of the Bushidi Rebellion. The need by the Germans to abolish slave trade, someone gave that point. The Germans wanted to abolish slave trade, yet the people of the coast were earning a lot from this slave trade. The coastal people greatly wanted to defend their sovereignty or independence. Yes, someone also gave that point, that these people wanted him to defend their independence. They never wanted to lose it. So that is one reason why they decided to fight against the Germans. Then we have this other point, the cultural arrogance of the Germans. Someone gave this point, and I remember also expanding it, that these people were arrogant. Okay? That is to say, they entered mosques with boots and dogs. Can you imagine? These people could enter mosques with boots and dogs. And that was not acceptable to the Muslims there. I don't know whether, Ronnie, you are contributing. You can unmute.
Yes, sir.
Are you contributing?
Yes. The need to regain their land.
The need to regain their land. Okay. Thank you for that contribution. But what I should tell you is that by that time, their land had not yet been taken. So they were resisting the taking of their land. Okay. I have Joel. Are you contributing?
Master, all what I was saying is that if I frame my point that the Germans attempt to abolish slave trade, if I frame my point like that.
The attempt to abolish slave trade.
Yeah, if
yes.
I frame my point.
Yes, we can also take that. We can also take that they wanted to abolish slave trade, yet the trade was profitable to the people of the coast. Okay, so in the interest of time, I think I should finish up these other points. Mose from the chat here, bad relationship between German and the British. Okay, German and the British. Okay. Okay. So in the interest of time, let me try to finish up with these other points that we have not yet seen. There is that one there. The presence of strong leaders such as Abushi bin Salim and Bwana Heri encouraged the coastal people to resist the Germans. Yes, no one had given this point, but it is also another good point that the Africans, the East Africans, had very strong leaders who inspired them to fight against the Germans. We have that other point. The rumor that the Sultan of Zanzibar had sold the coast to the Germans worried them. Yes, there was that rumor that the Sultan of Zanzibar had sold the coast to the Germans. Remember, I've told you that Sultan Khalifa bin Said had signed a treaty with the Germans, which treaty was giving away Tanganyika to the Germans. You understand? So there was that rumor, our country has been sold, the coast has been sold. And then the people had to rise up against him, the Germans who they thought had bought the coast. Okay. There is this other point before we go. There is this one here. The fear of losing the Arab middlemanship position in the coastal trade caused the rebellion. Now, the Arabs thought that the Germans will become the middlemen in the coastal trade. And they were like, the moment the Germans become the middlemen in this coastal trade, we are going to lose a lot. That is why the Arabs decided to rise up against the Germans. The fear of losing their fertile soils at the coast inspired the coastal Arabs. Yes, they wanted their coastal soils. Abushi expected support from the coastal interior people. Yes, Abushi thought that the coastal people, the interior people, excuse me. So we are saying Bushidi thought that the coastal people will come in and help him against the Germans. That is why he decided to stage up a revolt. Then we have this one here that the Germans had put heavy tariffs on the traders and local people, some of the people. That is why they resisted him. Again, we are saying the taxes introduced were brutally collected. The taxes were brutally collected, which annoyed the Arabs, and then decided to the Germans. End of our lesson for today. And yes, we will be picking up from here the next time. The next time on Monday. I have Ronnie. Your hand is up. I don't know whether, okay, Ronnie. Are you saying something? Ronnie?
Sorry, sir, I forgot to raise the
you did not lower the hand. Okay. So we've come to the end of this lesson, and we will be meeting again next week on the same day. Thank you so much for listening to me, and have a good day and a blessed week. But before we go somewhere, okay, let me see in the chat. Okay, yes, people are saying thank you. You are welcome. You are welcome. Yes, please.
Good morning once again.
Yes, good morning.
I wish to remind our students that today, by evening, we shall have put an assignment in the Google Classroom.
Yes.
Because unlike last time when we assessed them at the end of the entire session, this time in order to reduce on our marking load, we are going to be posting assignments. So they'll have to join the Google Classroom where they'll find the assignments and they'll be doing them. So that by the end of the entire session, maybe after a month, our marks are already computed and the marking for the end of term exams is less.
Yes, yes.
Can I remind them the classroom code?
Yes, you can.
The classroom code is sorry. That was for another class. Let me read the classroom code for S3. ZQN ZD6. Was I clear, Mr. Busuulwa?
Yes, you were clear. Maybe if you can repeat it once again for those that were not ready.
Are you able to write on your slides?
Like, I think I have to first. No, I don't think I can write it here. Maybe I have to get off the animations first and.
Maybe you right click.
Okay.
Maybe we end the show.
Yeah, we can end it now.
And then we get a slide and we just write at the bottom.
Yes. Yes, yes.
It's at the bottom, sir. Bottom of those options.
Okay, let me first
Oh, we can just press the escape button. So we can type there. Just click at the end of that word.
That's what I'm doing, but
yeah.
Okay.
Then we type. So in small letters, it is ZQN.
Z
Q
QN
Z D6.
D6.
Yeah, that's the Google Classroom code for our class. And we shall be marking as they bring in their work.
Okay, so have you seen the Google Classroom code? Write it down. You will be.
We have a question. Is it from Mose?
Yes.
Mose, you can unmute and ask Teacher Busuulwa anything. Okay.
Mose? I think Mose didn't lower the hand.
Okay, for me, I'm done, Mr. Busuulwa. Are you also done with the lesson?
Yes, I'm done. And I've already told
communication for them.
What you've given is enough. Let them copy down that Google Classroom code.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I think that is the information to give them for now.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
You are welcome.